Hi there. I am Caitlin Riley. You might know me from Instagram or TikTok at It's Caitlin Hello. I am super excited to be here with you today for the LivingWorks Youth Summit. Right now, there are up to 1.7 million students from grades 7 to 12 tuning in to take part in today's event. Some of you are at home, others might be in class. Thank you all for taking the time to be with us. You may not be familiar with LivingWorks, but they're a global leader in suicide prevention training. What is really cool is that the California Department of Education is making LivingWorks START training available to students, teachers, and staff throughout the state. That means you can have the opportunity to save a life from suicide. Stay tuned for more details on how to access this training. Suicide prevention is important to me because I went to high school too, and it's hard. And when you're a teenager and you have all of these emotions, things are crazy and heightened, and sometimes you feel isolated and feel like you can't talk to people. But what the most important thing to know is you can. You can share your feelings, and you're not the only one that's going through this and feeling this way. So I think suicide prevention is the most important thing that people that age should be looking at. And you guys need to start talking to each other, talk to your family, your friends, and your teachers so we can lower those numbers and stop suicide in teens from happening. Today's about more than suicide prevention. It's also about mental wellness, resilience, and hope. Most importantly, it's all about you. You're going to hear some impactful stories today, and we hope there will be some valuable nuggets you can take away, things that you can carry with you every day. But it's not going to be a scenario where we're just talking at you. There is a pretty incredible lineup of artists and influencers joining us today, including Dominican American singer-songwriter Fuego, actress Lexi Underwood from Hulu's Little Fires Everywhere, self-help expert and YouTube sensation Lavender, and Tate McRae, one of the hottest new artists on the music scene. This event would not be possible without the support of our event sponsors, Sutter Health, the San Diego Union Tribune, KCRA and My 58, Lifeline, the Trevor Project, Teen Line, NAMI, the California Restaurant Association Foundation, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I would like to invite John Boyd, CEO of Mental Health Services at Sutter Health, to say a few words about why Sutter Health chose to get involved with the LivingWorks Youth Summit. John?
I remember early on in my life as a young person in elementary school, and also when I was in middle school and the younger years of my high school, where I was discouraged and felt helpless and at times hopeless. I was bullied and teased simply because other kids my age thought I was different. It was only until later that I realized that difference that they experienced was just simply me being who I was as a gay male. You see, we need to ensure that no young person goes through that experience alone, and that we're all armed with the education to support the life of another young person, and that we are empowering young people everywhere with the resources and tools and place at the table where they can lead these conversations with other young people. I am convinced that together we can save lives. And at Sutter Health, we understand that physical health, trauma, mental health, and addiction care are all linked and must be integrated and talked about as such. We at Sutter Health call that human health.
Thanks, John. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate Sutter's sponsorship of the LivingWorks Youth Summit too. You'll see the National Lifeline, Teen Line, and Trevor Project numbers scrolling on the screen throughout the show. I want to remind you that if you're feeling triggered by any of this discussion today, help is just a call or a text away. You guys, we've got a treat for you. Coming to us from Miami, Fuego brings his unique style combining Caribbean mambo and US urban sounds. He's collaborated with J Balvin, Juanes, Pitbull, and Nicky Jam, among others. Help me welcome Fuego.
Hello everyone, my name is Fuego. I'm here with LivingWorks to give you guys an important message about suicide prevention, mental health. I just want all you guys to know out there that you can seek help to talk about whatever it is your issues may be. And always know there's people out there willing to help, people like us that are willing to help, willing to speak to people, talk to people, give them advice, give them motivation. You know, I know it's crazy times right now, the pandemic, you know, the quarantine, people going crazy, they want to be outside. You know, some kids, you know, think it's the end of the world, you know, they get sad. And I just want everybody to know and everybody just to have hope, you know, to know that this will be over. We'll get through this just like we've been through a lot of other situations. I hope you guys stick around and listen to my message and take it to heart because it may save a life, even yours. So, it's your boy Fuego. Many blessings. Stay safe. Yeah. It's all about good vibes. Fuego. Nicky Jam. Yeah. Ahora ella es mala contigo y buena conmigo. Porque conmigo la flechó Cupido.
Ahora no hay tiempo para ti, es así de sencillo. Ella le gusta estar solo conmigo.
Solo le traigo good vibes. Compa le traigo good night. I know how to make it feel right. Baby, quiero tenerte. Toda la noche besarte. Voy a satisfacerte all night. Móntate pa' que sienta la brisa, yeah. Mientras que mi mano te acaricia, yeah. Gucci tu zapato y tu camisa, yeah. Yo mato por esa sonrisa, yeah. Eso es mío, baby, tú lo sabes. De mi corazón yo te di la clave. Esto que tenemos yo nunca lo planeé. Estoy contigo, bebé, yeah. Baby, baby, ven. Pasamos la noche entera. Te gusta esta vida buena. Hacemos lo que tú quieras, oye.
Baby, baby, ven. Gozamos la noche entera. Te gusta esta vida buena. Hacemos lo que tú quieras, oye.
Ahora ella es mala contigo y buena conmigo. Porque conmigo la flecha Cupido.
Ahora no hay tiempo para ti, es así de sencillo. Ella le gusta estar solo conmigo.
Solo le traigo good vibes. Mi compa le traigo good night. I know how to make it feel right.
Baby, quiero tenerte. Toda la noche besarte. Voy a satisfacerte all night.
Baby, baby, baby. Pasamos la noche entera. Te gusta esta vida buena. Hacemos lo que tú quieras. Baby, baby, baby. Pasamos la noche entera. Te gusta esta vida buena. Hacemos lo que tú quieras, oye.
Hi everyone, my name is Sink Gomez. I'm an incoming freshman at UC Berkeley. I'm also a youth ambassador for LivingWorks, and today it's my honor to be speaking with the California Department of Education's Deputy Superintendent of Equity, Dr. Daniel Lee. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you. It's honestly our pleasure. But firstly, we want to talk a little bit about the purpose of the Youth Summit. It's to focus on mental health, resilience, and suicide prevention. So the first question we have for you is, how do these topics fit into the California Department of Education's priorities?
Well, that's a great question. And I would like to talk about it fits into the priority of acknowledging and addressing the stresses that our students are experiencing. So first, that's the experience around the traumas related to living through a pandemic, the loss of routines, the idea that lost relationships, particularly from a school setting, it's important. And I think all of those issues coupled with the trauma has really helped the department start looking at mental health and trauma interventions, specifically related to suicide prevention as a priority.
Yeah, it's definitely something we see in growing prominence. So the second question we have for you is, what steps are you guys taking within the education system to improve the discussion surrounding mental health?
Okay, thank you for asking. Number one, we were fortunate enough through some legislative support and along with some partnerships with LivingWorks and the San Diego Department of Education to really think through a suicide prevention program. We had the opportunity to roll it out with the staff in June, and now we're shifting our attention to middle and high high school students for the fall. So we're really looking to encourage people to take a deeper dive into participating in that program, so we can create safe and supportive communities to help prevent the likelihood of suicide on school campuses.
Yeah. Fuego. Yo quiero que esta noche se grabe en tu mente. No quiero que te vayas así de repente. Sabes que estoy aquí por ti. Yo tuve que venir por ti. Yo tuve que tenerte aquí frente a frente. Tú me tienes activo, tú me tienes loco. Cuando tú me bailas y me perreas down low. Quiero hacerte cosas para prenderte en fuego. Quiero hacerte mía, sacarte del montón. Pa' mí, te quiero pa' mí, yeah. Pa' mí, solamente pa' mí, yeah. Me acercaré cuando tus ojos se brillen. Puedo leer lo que pides, baby, te quiero pa' mí, yeah. Yo quiero que esta noche se grabe en tu mente. No quiero que te vayas así de repente. Sabes que estoy aquí por ti. Yo tuve que venir por ti. Yo tuve que tenerte aquí frente a frente. Ella se pone su flow, se pone sexy. Ella lo mueve pa' mí como una gypsy. Ella se pega de mí, de mi Givenchy. La quiero solo pa' mí, pa' mí, pa' mí, pa' mí, pa' mí. Te quiero pa' mí, yeah. Pa' mí, solamente pa' mí, yeah. Me acercaré cuando tus ojos te brillen. Puedo leer lo que pides, baby, te quiero pa' mí, yeah. Yo quiero que esta noche se grabe en tu mente. No quiero que te vayas así de repente. Sabes que estoy aquí por ti. Yo tuve que venir por ti. Yo tuve que tenerte aquí frente a frente. Fuego, yeah. Hey. Sky. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. La buena, yeah. Hey, yeah. Develop, yeah. Fuego.
That was amazing. I love those Latin beats. Now, it is so important for us to be able to find outlets like music, the arts, or just a friend to talk to help us get out of our own heads and connect with something that gives us joy. For me, that has always been comedy. It allows me to stop thinking, but also think really fast. It allows me to laugh at myself. It allows me to find the funny in everything. And I think laughing is super important for the world. Now let's hear what that outlet has been for our next guest, one of the stars of Hulu's hit series, Little Fires Everywhere. I am pleased to welcome Lexi Underwood.
Hi, my name is Lexi Underwood. The past few months have been incredibly overwhelming, to say the least, full of ups and downs. I've grieved the physical deaths of some around me, the deaths of heroes I didn't personally know, and relationships with people I never thought would end. I've cried, I've laughed, I've been happy, I've been motivated, and some days I haven't been motivated. To be very clear, none of what we're experiencing currently is normal. When I was about 7 years old, I remember the first time I had a panic attack. It was the night before the science fair. I remember feeling so anxious to the point where I couldn't breathe. It felt like the walls were closing in on me. I was terrified because I didn't understand what was happening. Growing up, mental health and panic attacks weren't necessarily talked about or normalized in the Black community. And to this day, those topics still really aren't. So, of course, when it happened to me, I was completely unsure of what to do. There's nothing and nobody that can fully mentally prepare you for what the human experience has in store for you. I remember hating myself at the age of 11. Journals filled with criticism, constantly wishing I could change or blaming myself for things out of my control. I had enough pages to stitch them into wings. I once had someone tell me it was ironic how much love I gave out because I didn't give much to myself. I was young. In that moment, I never fully understood what was happening to me, but only that I didn't enjoy the feeling. During that time, my outlet to forget all the foggy, scary thoughts entering my mind was Broadway. It was the one thing that made me feel secure. Meeting other kids via Twitter, up late talking about different shows, listening to soundtracks, slowly replaced the negative thoughts with positive ones. In 2017, I discovered a show by the name of Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen tells the story of a young man with social anxiety disorder who so yearns to make a connection with his peers that he goes far enough to fabricate a relationship with the deceased student to become closer to the boy's family. Sure, at first glance, the story may sound a bit weird, but it made me feel like I wasn't alone. Seeing mental health representation on Broadway meant everything to me in those moments of feeling alone. There are days where I wake up and my brain and heart feel so heavy. It's hard to ignore the thoughts and feelings. It can be very chemical. And trust me, I get it. Being a teenager in this society is so not easy. Growing up with social media filled with unrealistic beauty standards, or people always drowning out your feelings with toxic positivity, telling you, well, it could be worse, or just try to be happy, without fully understanding that if it was so easy to just be happy, that would be the case. On those days, I try to be kind to myself. I try to allow myself to feel everything. Controlling your thoughts and emotions doesn't mean avoid them. Feel them, understand them, but don't let them consume your every move and suck all the life and joy from you. Joy is an act of resistance, and joy is also fleeting. I'm 17, and I've come to the realization that every day is a journey to joy. Some days, I'm able to reach that destination just a little easier than other days. So, here are some checkpoints that help me on my journey to joy. Number 1, when I wake up, every day I look at myself in the mirror and I tell myself, I love you. That teaches you how to treat yourself, how you allow others to treat you, and how you treat others. Number 2, I meditate and pray. Number 3, I lean into my passion. And number 4, very important, I take social media breaks. I'm still trying to teach myself that not everything will be perfect. Something can feel so big in that moment, but it's actually just a tiny blip in your beautiful lifetime. With time, patience, and perseverance, everything you're feeling right now won't hurt so bad. Everything is temporary. There will be a day where you'll be able to say, I'm okay, and truly, wholeheartedly mean it.
Thank you, Lexi. Those words ring really true. There's so much more still to come for you guys. We've got Tate McRae, dunk champion Kenny Dobbs, and cardistry master Shin Lim coming up. But first, our next guest knows what it's like to strive to live up to others' expectations. She's going to share with you how she learned to find her self-worth not from the approval of others, but from inside herself. She's built a career around sharing her knowledge about personal growth and mental health while inspiring her audience to cultivate their dream life. Please join me in welcoming Lavender.
Hey guys, it's Eileen from Lavender. If you don't know who I am, I make content on personal growth and lifestyle design, basically how to become your best self and create your dream life. And I'm super excited to talk to you today. It's such an honor. Thank you, LivingWorks. But to be honest, guys, I struggled figuring out what to say today because there's so much that I want to say. There's so many ways that I wish I could help you. We just don't have the time today. But when I think back at when I was your age in middle school and high school, I was such a shy kid. I was very insecure. I had this deep desire to be liked. I was such a people pleaser. I wanted people to like me. I also wanted to do well in school to the point where I pushed myself really hard. I was super stressed, really overwhelmed by all the pressure put on me by my parents' expectations, just by society in general, because I wanted to be perfect in a way. I think I was striving for perfection and it was really crippling me mentally. It was just too much on me. And so if there was anything that I wish I could say to my younger self and to you guys is to be easy on yourself, be kind and gentle on yourself. What I realize now in my adult life that I didn't know back then when I was in middle school and high school was the reason why I was the way that I was. Looking back, it all made so much more sense. Growing up, I felt unloved. I didn't feel like my parents cared about me that much. My dad left our family when I was in elementary school. My mom was busy working 24/7. She didn't really have time to be there with us. And I just felt abandoned and I felt unimportant and unseen. I felt like I was that invisible kid that just could slip away into the corner and no one would notice me if I was gone. And that was how I grew up. And I realized that when I entered middle school and high school, there was that desire to be seen. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to have a lot of friends. And I was doing a lot of things for external validation. I was trying to get people's attention, or I was trying to do well in school for success, because when I got good grades or when I did something well, I would get attention for it. My parents would give me approval, and thus that equaled love. I was doing pretty well on the outside up until my senior year, when I completely burnt out to the point where I just had no motivation to do school anymore. I just couldn't wake up to go to school. I would wake up at 11 or 12 and then go to school late, or sometimes miss the whole day entirely. And this would happen so often that I got in so much trouble. They're like, Eileen, you're supposed to be a good student. Why are you not coming to school? You're missing so many days of class. How do you expect to pass this class? I remember strongly disliking the system, being judged for my grades, being judged for whether I show up to school or not, being judged by my peers because there were so many rumors about what I was doing when I wasn't at school, which were all untrue. And it was embarrassing and it was horrifying. It was just a really tough year for me mentally. Ultimately, one of the biggest things that I've learned is that we as humans crave love. We crave unconditional love. And the sad part is a lot of us grow up not feeling that love in our lives, or maybe our parents gave us conditional love, which means you only get love and approval if you are a good student, if you do well, if you behave the way as you should, or if you meet your parents' expectations. And that lack of love leads to insecurity. It leads to us feeling unworthy, not good enough. It even leads to things like perfectionism, where you're striving to be perfect, but whatever you do, it's never good enough. It leads to us constantly seeking approval and validation from outside ourselves, which is very, very dangerous because you're depending on other people or external factors for your own happiness. The good news is you have the power to give yourself as much love as you possibly can, and that is within your control. Self-love is within your control. Positive self-talk, changing your mindset so that you're more supportive and loving to yourself instead of being critical and negative with yourself. That is such a powerful exercise. The best thing you can do for yourself right now to set yourself up for a happy and successful life is to cultivate your relationship with yourself. Are you your own best friend? When you talk to yourself in your mind, is it positive and loving, or is it negative and critical? Are you your own worst critic, or are you your own best friend? Managing your mind is one of those skills that I wish I knew when I was younger. I wish I knew that you get to choose which thoughts to feed and which thoughts to let go. Back then, when I was younger, everything just ran on autopilot in my mind, and I was just a sponge. I was a sponge for the criticisms and the judgments that I got from other people, the expectations, and those voices became my own, so that I was super critical on myself and I put a lot of pressure on myself. I wish I knew I didn't have to prove my worth to others. I wish I knew that my self-worth wasn't something that I had to earn, that I had to gain, that I already had it within me. We live in a world of labels because it's easier to put people in a box and judge them that way. It's easier to call someone an A student, B student, C student, D student, but what does that actually tell you? It doesn't tell you how smart this person is. It doesn't tell you how kind or how good-hearted this person is. It just tells you what score they got, which correlated to a letter. It doesn't illustrate the story or the struggles happening behind the scenes of that person, and it absolutely does not reflect your self-worth. It doesn't matter what labels people are putting on you, what people are judging you as. You are worthy and valued no matter what. You are worthy simply for being alive, and you have a unique gift that you are meant to share with others. And when you're young, you probably don't know exactly what your gift is. You might have an inkling or you might not. You might figure it out later in life, and that's okay. The point is, you are so young and you have so much life ahead of you. What I hope you can start doing right now is to get to know yourself, learn your strengths, your gifts, and also your weaknesses. Learn to embrace and accept all that you are so that you can start to truly love yourself. I hope you recognize how much power you have over your mind, over your story, over your life. It's just beginning, and that's so exciting. You have the power to take your life wherever you want, and I hope that you learn to listen to your heart and your intuition instead of listening to what everyone else is telling you to do, because you know best, and trust me, you will figure it out. Live a life that you can be proud of, and everything else will follow. Thanks so much for your time. If you want more, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at LivingWorks. Bye.
Thanks, Aileen. That is a great message. Our next artist has certainly found her gift. She is only 17, but this young woman has taken the world by storm. She has over 250 million views on YouTube, released her debut EP, All the Things I Never Said, in January, and was recently nominated for the 2020 VMA Push Best New Artist. Friends, let's welcome Tate McRae.
Hi guys, my name is Tate McRae, and I'm so excited to be performing and speaking at LivingWorks Youth Summit. I'm a dancer, singer, and I write all my music. I write a lot about my life, high school drama, dealing with friends, issues, and my main message for my music is to be able to reach out to people my own age or people going through the same things as me and feel like they're not alone and feel like that there's someone who's saying all the words that they can never say. I also talk a lot about mental health, just because I feel like a lot of teenagers go through stuff, but it's not always recognized because we're really good at hiding it. And that's why writing has always been my outlet, but I think music is a great way to feel like you're not alone in things and that there's someone always there for you no matter what. So I really hope you guys can connect to my music. Here's an original song called Don't Be Sad, written by me. Bye.
I'm sorry, I can't seem to do anything right. To be honest, might delete the song tonight. Did you even notice I was here? If I left the party, would you even care? So I guess that I was never what you wanted. Wasted all my money throwing pennies to the fountain. It's not easy trying to tell you how I feel when all you ever say is don't be sad, the sun is shining, just be happy. Why you whining? Waiting room is getting crowded. You're not special, you're not special, not special. You're not special. I'm sorry that you just don't understand. You always tell me that it's only in my head. Then why's the end and I feel like my only friend? The only one that knows that this isn't pretending. Everyone's in therapy, wouldn't go if you were there for me. Never should've told you how I felt. Cause all you ever say is don't be sad, the sun is shining, just be happy. Why you You're not special, you're not special.
All right, guys, we're just about to get this live stream started, man. As you can see, we're live here at the courthouse. I'm super excited to be partnering with LivingWorks, man. Thank you guys for choosing me. Oh, look at these two over here. Look at these two over here. Oh! Hey, you guys stay tuned. I'm coming up next. We got a lot more in store for you guys.
What is Generation Z?
Generation Z is very diverse and different from other generations.
In a brand new podcast from the San Diego Union Tribune, we'll get to know this new generation that's literally changing the face of America. And you'll hear directly from them about what they are and aren't.
So say hello to Gen Z.
Wow, we are already halfway through the show. In addition to Kenny, coming up in this part of the show, we've got more from Tate McRae and Shin Lim, two-time winner of America's Got Talent, is going to share with us some super cool sleight of hand card tricks. So don't go anywhere. You guys, I know it's hard to talk about suicide. It's a topic most of us want to avoid, but it's time we shed some light on this difficult subject. Suicide is a national epidemic and one that is completely preventable. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for youth. 1 in 14 youth tried to take their own lives last year. For every youth who dies by suicide, another 100 to 200 young people attempt to take their lives. Emma Benoit was one of those statistics. This 20-year-old from Louisiana is going to share with us the story of how she survived a suicide attempt just 3 years ago. She has turned that experience into an opportunity to help others by sharing her story publicly and through her upcoming documentary, My Ascension. A word of warning, Emma will share some details about her experience, recovery, and journey to hope. If you're feeling triggered or need someone to talk to, please refer to the numbers on the bottom of your screen.
From outside looking in, I had an ideally perfect life. But what no one knew was anxiety and depression had taken over my life. I thought that there was no other way out.
A Central Parish police detective called me and said, your daughter has shot herself.
They said, I may walk or I may not. They said there's a 1% chance that I will. Maybe this is my calling, you know? Maybe my pain and suffering can help someone else.
Hey y'all, I hope you're all doing well and enjoying the summit so far. I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to share my story with you guys today. As I entered middle school, I was technically one of the younger kids in my class. A little bit behind, a little bit of a late bloomer. You know, didn't get braces until the end of middle school. I had a snaggletooth. I can remember many a times coming home from middle school and just being so distraught from kids bullying me or picking on me or whatever. And the one thing that stuck out to me the most was the advice that my mom and dad had given me one night that I came home from school, and they said, you know, don't let them see that it hurts you, because then that's just going to make them want to do it more. And denying those true hurt feelings was the worst thing for me, and ultimately is what contributed to my overall depression and my anxiety. Putting on a persona and a fake face started in middle school, and that only amplified and became more relevant in my life when I got to high school. You would think that I had every reason in the world to be confident, and I mean varsity cheerleader as a freshman, popularity, you know, good grades, good relationship with teachers. You know, I was overall a good student and a good friend, and you know, a good person. That's what it seemed like, but inside and within, I did not feel any of those things. I began to act out, and my relationship with my parents became extremely toxic, filled with lies and resentment. And little did I know that those changes in my behavior was a cry for help. All of my issues in high school came back to my identity problems and not knowing who I was and not feeling like I was anybody and not feeling like I was going anywhere in life. I just feeling like I was just floating by, just, if I'm here today, great. If I'm not here today, great. You know, like that was my mentality. I never even allowed myself to feel or believe that I was having these emotions and these feelings, much less share them with anyone else. I was not honest about it with a single soul. The morning of June 7th started out like any other summer morning. It was the summer going into my senior year of high school, and I had just come home from a 3-day trip in New York. And it was a really, really fun trip. I was on an extreme high. And coming home, I had already previously been in trouble with my parents. Was just going through a lot of things. There was just a lot of turmoil in my house, a lot of tension between my parents and I. And, my brother wasn't home for the first time. He had just moved out of state to go to college. And so that was a big, big adjustment for me. And things weren't going right for me. And I just constantly felt exhausted. My mom had come home from work in the middle of the afternoon, and we had a big old argument. To this day, I don't even recall what it was about, but nonetheless, that argument triggered all of the feelings and just about everything that I had ever bottled up or suppressed. It had triggered it all, and I don't know why that day. I don't know why that conversation. I don't know why. That's something that I still to this day, 3 years later, don't have an answer to as to why that day. But that phone call conversation just really triggered everything for me, and it seemed like I considered it on 1 minute and then the next minute it was done. All I remember is the room completely closing in around me. I have no recollection of pulling the trigger at all, which is crazy to me because that was the most pivotal moment in my life and I cannot remember it. But the one thing that I will never forget and will always remember is the immense feeling of regret is immediately after. The feeling of regret was so strong that it almost overtook the physical pain that I was enduring. And I was airlifted to the hospital. I don't remember any of this. I have no recollection of the ambulance ride or the helicopter ride or anything like that. They had to place a stent in my left carotid artery because the bullet entered through my neck and severed my carotid artery. I was left with a spinal cord injury and I was completely paralyzed from the neck down. The only movement that I had was very minimal left tricep movement, and I had wrist movement in my left hand. But no finger movement in my left hand. This was instantly gone from the nerve damage that happened from the gunshot wound. I had to learn how to sit up on my own again, hold my neck up on my own again, how to do bed mobility on my own again, which is like rolling around in bed. I had to relearn how to do all that, and I had to relearn how to feed myself, how to get dressed by myself, everything, you name it, I had to relearn. That saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone, has never been more true for me in my life. I was always searching for a passion, always trying to find things that I thought was my purpose. And my entire life, anytime someone would ask me what I wanted to do when I grew up, the only thing that would come to mind is, I just want to help people. I didn't know how that looked. I didn't know what that meant. The only thing I could think of was, I just want to help people. It wasn't easy deciding to be vulnerable and sharing my story with the world. I collaborated with my mom to basically share my story and just let everyone know my reality and what I had gone through. Doing something like this was completely out of my comfort zone, and was honestly something that I never in a million years saw myself doing. The more I've done in this world of suicide prevention and suicide awareness, the more I've learned, the more people I've met, the more relationships I've made, the more hope I get because I see the effects of me sharing my story. Having everything taken away from me, all my abilities and even almost my life, it really showed me how precious life really is. And I have never wanted to live more than the day that I was dying. I mean, it is crazy, the amount of fight that I had inside me and how much I really just wanted to freaking live. I didn't care how that looked. I didn't care what I looked like. I just wanted to make it out. And I did. And by the grace of God, I am here. And while I still have disabilities that will probably be with me for the rest of my life, I love them, and I love everything about myself, and I love everything about my life. It is extremely unfortunate that it took all of this for me to have this outlook and this perspective on life. I wish I hadn't been ashamed and would have spoken up about how I was feeling, because I could have prevented this from happening, and I wouldn't be sitting here today like this. If you're struggling, or you know someone that's struggling, please do yourself a favor and talk to someone. Everyone can take part in preventing suicide. If you see a friend or you know a friend that's struggling, reach out and help them and offer them the support that they need. September is Suicide Prevention Month, so get out in your communities today and start learning how you can make a difference and prevent suicides. You don't need to be a doctor or have a degree to learn the skills to help save a life. Anyone can do it, and the START program is the best place to start. It is really informative and super easy and quick. It takes about less than an hour, and it is really helpful. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my story, and thank you LivingWorks for giving me this opportunity to be a part of the summit. Also hope to make it out to California one day. It's a place I've never been and always wanted to go to, but hopefully once all this COVID stuff settles down, then I'll be able to make it out there and maybe we can meet up. Bye, y'all.
Hey there, y'all. My name is Sam Brinton. I use they and them as my pronouns, and I get to serve as the Vice President of Advocacy and Government Affairs for the Trevor Project. If you've never heard about the Trevor Project, we're there 24/7, 365 via a lifeline text or chat for LGBTQ youth and those who need us. I get it. Times are really, really bad, and you may not necessarily want to have your parents hearing the conversation that you're about to have on that phone. That's why text and chat are there. I think it's really important for us to remember that services need to match your needs. So if you want to call us in the middle of the night, we'll pick up the phone. And if you want to text or chat us, I get it. As a transgender individual, hearing my own voice was really difficult sometimes. So a text made me seem like just everybody else. And yes, it's important to remember that LGBTQ youth are going through a really hard time. Our support systems have been taken away from safe schools, and we may be trapped in really unsupportive homes. But it's also really important for you to remember that there are easy ways for you to save a life. Let's give a quick example, shall we? When I introduced myself, I said my name is Sam Brinton, and I use they and them as my pronouns. Did you know that just by using someone's pronouns, you can save a life? It's true. LGBTQ youth, and specifically transgender and non-binary youth who have their pronouns respected, are half as likely to attempt suicide as those who don't have their pronouns respected. So, we're there to listen. I need you to always know that. When it feels really lonely, we're still there. And we're there in a lot of different ways, via text or chat or the lifeline. It's always important for you to know that you can get a hold of us. And last but not least, it's important for us to take the small steps to make each other's lives a little bit easier. We're gonna get through this, and tomorrow's gonna be a better day than today was.
What's up, everybody? It's Kenny Dobbs, International Slam Dunk Champion, and I've been fortunate enough to travel the world performing in sold-out stadiums for the NBA, Sprite, Nike, and Red Bull, traveling all over the globe from Africa, Europe, Asia, and everywhere in between, winning multiple dunk competitions. But there were times I wanted to give up, I wanted to quit, but I didn't. I continued to stay faithful to the goals that I had set. I continued to work my hardest on a daily basis, trying to get one step closer towards capturing my dreams. One step at a time. After all my hard work and dedication, I finally accomplished it. And who better to hand me the championship trophy than the king himself, LeBron James. So remember, no matter how big the obstacles are in front of you, no matter how impossible they may seem to get over, just take that first leap of faith. Believe in yourself. Set your goals and never, ever give up on your dreams.
Baby, you look like talking to you about yourself. You should have told me that you were thinking about someone else. You're drunk in a party, or maybe it's just that your car broke down. Or your phone's been off for a couple months, so you're calling me now. I know we like this. Won't you But I've run out of every reason. Now silently asking for it back. Could you tell me where'd you get the nerve? Yeah, you could see this soul that we had. But I don't really care how bad it hurts when you broke me first. You broke me first. 2 hours in the night when I first heard that you moved on quicker than I could ever, you know that hurt. Swear for a while I was staring my phone just to see your name. But now that it's there, I don't really know what to say. I love you, you like this. When shit don't go your way, you needed me to fix it. And like me, I did. But I've run out of every reason. Now silently asking for it back. Could you tell me where'd you get the nerve? Yeah, you could see this soul that we had. But I don't really care how bad it hurts when you broke me first. You broke me first.
It's Sin, and I'm back. This time, it's my honor to interview Assemblymember Mark Berman. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Sin. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So the first question that we have for you is, with a little bit of context, you secured $1.7 million to provide youth suicide prevention training, an amazing feat for educators and students alike. How can this benefit and cater to minority students of color and LGBT students?
It's a great question, Sin. And I think it's important to remember that suicide is preventable and that training is essential. And as you know, youth spend a significant amount of their lives in school, and the teachers and administrators and peers who they interact with on a daily basis are in a prime position to recognize the warning signs of suicidal thoughts. Suicide prevention training provides the knowledge, the tools, and the resources so that these gatekeepers can feel confident that they have the skills to respond to students and make the appropriate referrals for help. And it was really important to me to include as part of the funding that the training is required to address the needs of high risk groups such as LGBTQ students, homeless students, foster youth, and other students who are disproportionately impacted by suicidal ideation and mental illness.
Yeah, definitely. I come from many backgrounds of LGBTQ youth and people of color. So you can definitely see it even within your own community, how necessary the change is. So secondly, how do you see California as a leader on the charge towards ensuring mental wellness in youth? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think California has definitely been a leader on youth mental health. And as a state, we've demonstrated our commitment to addressing students' mental health needs. And as with many other issues, when it comes to youth mental health, California is really trying to provide a roadmap. And I really want to challenge all the other states to adopt our roadmap to support their youth as well.
So thank you so much for taking the time to address students here today. I think I speak for all students when I say that we're counting on you to keep youth mental health at the top of the priority list. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sin.
Thank you, Sin, and thanks to Assemblymember Berman for the work you continue to do to advocate for mental health supports for California youth. We do hope that other states take California's lead. Our next speaker also has a passion for youth mental health and wellness. In fact, she is a pediatrician and California's first ever Surgeon General. I am honored to introduce Dr. Nadine Burke Harris.
Let's be honest, this year has been really weird. We are dealing with fighting for racial justice, wildfires, and not to mention a global pandemic that's preventing us from hanging out with our friends and hugging our family members who don't live with us. So I just want to say that if it feels hard, that's because it's hard. This is a once in 100 years pandemic. So when we're experiencing something stressful, we feel it in our bodies as well as our behaviors. It's not just in your head. You're not crazy. Our bodies are actually making more stress hormones, and that may biologically impact how you feel, your mood, your ability to focus, and your health. Today's event has provided a lot of great information on things we can do to support ourselves and others. And while it can be difficult to recognize how your peers are feeling when you can't see them in person, right? Still making an effort to check in via video chats or phone calls is important. You're at a point in your life where you have the power to take care of yourselves, to communicate when you need help, and to find the things that make you feel good and will keep you healthy and happy. I know that we're all getting restless with this new normal, and I am with you. It is tough right now. But the stuff that you are doing right now, staying at home, wearing a mask, practicing physical distancing, washing your hands and disinfecting surfaces, it all makes a difference in our health and the health of our communities. So let's keep doing the stuff that works, especially staying connected to our friends and classmates. This is all part of how we take care of each other and get through this together.
Thank you, Dr. Burke-Harris. Okay, guys, you've got to really pay attention to our next guest. He's the 2015 world champion for close-up card magic and is the only person in the world to win America's Got Talent twice. Watch closely, you won't believe what you see. Everyone, let's welcome Shin Lim. Well, that was jaw-dropping. Incredible. Thank you, Shin Lim. Now, let me introduce you to Rick Trimp, president of LivingWorks. As we mentioned at the top of the show, LivingWorks is an organization dedicated to suicide prevention training. Your whole goal is to create a world free from suicide loss. And one way they're trying to achieve that goal is by sharing this summit with you, to start the conversation about suicide prevention and to remind you that not only are there a lot of people out there who've got your back, but also that you can each have an impact on a friend, a sibling, or another student who might be struggling with thoughts of suicide. Here's Rick Trimp to tell you how.
At LivingWorks, we believe in bringing communities of people together to create networks of safety that serve to identify and protect people at risk of suicide. The LivingWorks START program is an interactive online program that walks you through a series of real-life scenarios, asks you to weigh in on those scenarios and to practice what to say if you encounter someone who needs help. LivingWorks START actually develops your skills, your confidence, and your capabilities should you ever encounter someone in need. It's like learning CPR, except for your chances of encountering someone in need of suicide intervention is 10 times higher than encountering someone in need of CPR. Now I'm pleased to welcome back Mr. Shin Lim.
Let's say this card represents someone with thoughts of suicide. These are the people around them every day in the places where they live, play, and learn. A friend, a teacher, a classmate. But are they prepared to notice when that person is struggling? Unfortunately, because suicide is a difficult topic, most people will dismiss, or avoid the subject. Just like these red cards, it's a stop sign for them. They won't know what signs to look for, or how to reach out and help. But what if even one of these people are trained to recognize when that person is struggling? They know what to watch for, and they can connect that person to safety and support. That's what LivingWorks START is preparing you to do. Now, what if people throughout your school had these skills? See, now you have a network of people, all working together, using their skills to keep others safe. And that is the power of a network of safety. That's what we're working to build here together. People looking out for people.
We heard today that everyone has a role to play in suicide prevention. And by the words of President Barack Obama, we are the change that we seek. It's our time to make a difference, break the stigma, help our friends, and save lives. It all starts now.
Okay, there it is. You can choose to make a difference and help save a life from suicide by signing up for START right now. Just text that number and we'll hook you up with access to START. It is just 90 minutes and it's online. Thanks to the California Department of Education, this training is available to tens of thousands of students, staff, and teachers at no cost. So that brings us to the end of the first ever LivingWorks Youth Summit. What a show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did and that you learned something along the way. I want to thank our talented artists, speakers, and guests, and all of the sponsors who made it possible. And I want to thank you for being a part of this summit. If you're a teacher, there are resources on our event website to keep this conversation going. And we're also encouraging students to reflect on today's summit by entering the Directing Change Art Contest in the Hope and Justice category. This is just the start of the conversation about suicide prevention. This broadcast is going to be up on YouTube tomorrow. We encourage you to share it with your family, friends, and talk with your teachers and each other. Like Sin said, start now.